Hey friends, what's up? Philip here with Points with Philip. And anyway, I wanted to come to you because, well, it's official. Capital One now officially owns Discover as of today, May 18th. Now, I first saw this because I was looking on Reddit this morning and I noticed that some people are showing some notifications on their apps in Discover that say that Discover is now a part of Capital One. And you can see that this way. Now, here's the thing. So there is a frequently asked questions section that this announcement goes to. And well, I wanted to talk about kind of the top information that you need to know. So first of all, what does this mean for my Discover One or Discover or Capital One credit cards? Now, I really liked, there are some people online that are very optimistically saying that they would really like to be able to use their Discover cash back for Capital One miles. So first of all, I don't believe that's coming anytime soon. Maybe down the road a couple years, but I'm sure it takes a while for those systems to integrate. But let's take a look now at what they're saying about this merger and then what that means. So the first question here is what's happening with Discover and Capital One? Now, this one here says on May 18th, 2025, Discover Bank merged into Capital One. We're now one company under Capital One. The Discover brand and your Discover account are not going away. So basically Discover is a separate company under Capital One. So they're different brands, different companies, but under the one company. So now, the next question is, can I still use my Discover account? Now, of course, right? They're still going to take your money, right? So yes, definitely your account number, rewards, and benefits haven't changed, and you can continue to use your Discover credit card as you always have. Now, the next question is, what do I need to do? Their answer is nothing, right? Nothing's changing for Discover accounts at this time. Now, interestingly, I did want to say, so there's one here that's really interesting. Now, obviously still making the payments are the same. They talk about that. Can I still apply for Discover products? Yes, you can apply at discover.com at any time. So they're still taking applications for Discover products. That's not changing, at least right now. Now, one question here is, will I get Capital One benefits and services with my Discover account? And the answer is actually pretty interesting. So it says not at this time. Not at this time. So what are Capital One benefits and services is kind of the question. Does that include Capital One miles? Does it include access to moving rewards? Does it include access to Capital One offers, right? So not at this time, but you'll still enjoy uninterrupted access to your great Discover benefits. Currently, you aren't able to make deposits or ask questions about your Discover account at Capital One Park, our bank branches, cafes, or through Capital One customer service. So that's currently. So it says because there's not at this time, and currently it seems like that's kind of what they're doing. So these Discover bank accounts that some people are getting, you might be able to use Capital One branches in the future for these bank accounts, which is interesting. It seems like it sounds like the plan is to kind of merge and integrate in an interesting way. Now, one interesting question is, what if I'm already a customer of both Discover and Capital One? So it says, keep using your Discover and Capital One accounts as usual. Note, Discover benefits do not transfer to your Capital One account, and Capital One benefits do not transfer to your Discover account. So if you have any questions about your Discover account, you need to talk to Discover. If you have any questions about your Capital One account, you need to talk to Capital One. So that's their answer there. Now, let's take a look at rewards. So will my rewards stay the same? So Discover has some really interesting rewards. Now they have the 5% catch-all, right? Or the 5% on category spend on certain categories that Discover announces. But they also have an interesting sign-up bonus in that they double your cash back at the end of your first year. Now it says that yes, you continue to earn automatically on every purchase every day, and you will keep the rewards you've already earned. Remember, your rewards never expire, and you can redeem any amount anytime. So that doesn't really plan on changing, at least according to this, or there's no immediate plan for that to change. Now, there is an interesting one. Let's see here. Now, the most interesting one, and I think the one that immediately affects the most amount of people, is if you're doing a balance transfer. Now, Discover credit cards usually pretty much all of them, with the exception of the the basic one, like the student one or the secured one, come with either balance transfer offers, zero APR purchase offers, or something like that, right? And so the question is, can I do a balance transfer between Discover and Capital One? So if you have a Discover balance, or I mean a Capital One balance, and before May 18th, you had the ability to transfer that balance to Discover for 0% APR for, I think it was up to 18 months or something like that. Very wild, right? No. That is going away as of today, May 18th. So no, not anymore, because Discover is now part of Capital One. You cannot transfer balances between a Discover account and a Capital One account. Now, there's another addendum here that if you recently submitted a balance transfer between those two banks and it hasn't successfully transmitted yet, that may not go through. So if you just transfer balances between a Discover account and a Capital One account, and it hasn't posted yet to your account, it may be rejected. So they're not saying it will be, but it probably will be. So that's going to be really interesting. So now let's take a look here if there's an interesting question here. So I'm currently on a repayment program. Now now that Discover is part of Capital One, will there be any changes to my repayment program? So their answer is no. Continue to pay according to your current repayment program. So if you're in a repayment program for not being able to pay or something like that, then that is that's not going to change. Now, it says, where can I get any updates about the merger? You can bookmark this page and check back for new information. Also, make sure your contact information alert settings in the account are set up to date so you get communications from us. So there's a bunch of other kind of questions, but they're really kind of not informational, at least for our purposes. So that's pretty much what we know right now. So today, as of today, May 18th, if you're a future time traveler, then as of a couple of days or months ago or whatever the case may be, Discover is now officially a part of Capital One, and it seems like the rewards are going to be not changing in the near future, but there may be some benefits that may be added in the future that currently are still going to be with whatever credit card you have. Let's see, I think, I don't know so, basically they're also saying that if you have already Discover and Capital One, keep using both sets of cards the way you currently have been. So like use your Discover app for Discover cards, credit card, or Capital One app for Capital One credit cards. So that's not going to change. So at least right now. So it doesn't seem like there's not really any language in there that makes it sound like that has a plan to change, at least in the near future. So some interesting things. The biggest one that will affect people straight off the bat is probably the balance transfer thing. But the Capital One benefits, extending Discover and vice versa, does seem interesting. So it'll be interesting to see what Capital One does with this acquisition of Discover, but it is now official. So Discover is now a subsidiary of Capital One, and so Capital One is now one of the largest credit card issuing banks in the world, well, at least in the country. And so that's kind of a big deal. But anyway, thanks for joining me on this little video. I just wanted to share this with you, and I'll see you later. Bye.